is just $40 or £40 and has an incredibly low weight of just 61 grams, which makes it a very good compared to something such as the Logitech G203 LightSync, which is the same price. Here's my review, so guys, let's get into this. In the box, you simply get the mouse and instruction manual. As soon as I took this mouse out and picked it up, I noticed two things. First of all I was like, wow, this mouse is light. 61 grams, it doesn't really, 61 to 75 grams doesn't sound like a huge difference, but that's massive in terms of a mouse. It is really, really light, and that was great. It made it feel really agile and allowed you to move it around quickly, even at low sensitivities. I'm a huge fan of a light mouse, and I know a lot of people are. And this is about as light as you're going to get without, missing out on RGB and having holes in the shell like some of the Cooler Master and other ultralight gaming mice. So I was very impressed by that. Second of all, it is extremely small. This mouse is just 118mm long and 53mm wide, which is absolutely tiny. And that leads me on to talk about who this mouse is really for. So Razer does say it is only for those who use claw or fingertip grip, or at least it favours them. And that is true. Palm users, if you've got small hands, this mouse may be comfortable for you, but personally I'd pick something else. And definitely if you don't have small hands and you're a palm user, I wouldn't buy this mouse. If you're a claw user and you have particularly large hands, you might not find this mouse particularly comfy. However, those with medium and small hands will like this mouse for claw, and the lightweight makes it really great to use. Fingertip grip, you can use it with all hand sizes. However, just bear in mind it is tiny, so although that is fine for fingertip users, it is very, very small. While we're still talking about the physical properties of the mouse, the build quality is fairly high, and Razer's done a good job of keeping it feeling rigid and premium despite using lighter weight plastics and things to keep the weight down. In addition to this, they used a braided cable, which was unexpected on a light mouse. It's their Speed Flex cable, which means it's very flexible, and I did find this to be the case. You can push on it and move the mouse from about 15 centimeters away, which I would say is a bit more than I'd like. However, due to the way it sits on the desk, it has a nice gap underneath it and never pushed back on me, especially with a mouse bungee. So overall, the cable is great and much better than I'd expect from a $40 mouse. On the bottom of the mouse there are two large feet, and feet are quite important even though they often get forgotten about. So these were very good feet. They do seem like they'll last a long time, which is good, especially considering there are no replacements included. They glided smoothly across a mouse mat and just really added to the experience of this being a light gaming mouse. Performance wise, it has an 8500 DPI sensor, which isn't the highest out there, but should be more than enough for most people. I found the sensor was very accurate and responsive. It was very precise and a pleasure to use while playing games. However, it did have a lift-off distance of about 7 playing cards, which is a bit less than something like the SteelSeries Rival 3, which I had a big issue with the lift-off distance, but it's more than double something such as the Logitech G203 LightSync. I didn't really experience much cursor jiggle though, and I do think this was down to the lower weight, meaning you could easily lift it off that bit extra. However, I feel this mouse would have been much better if they could have kept that lift-off distance a bit lower. Apart from that though, like I said, the sensor was great and the low weight really helped with that and made it feel a very nice sensor to use. The primary mouse buttons use Razer's own optical switches, which are rated at 50 million clicks. I found them quite nice to use. They were nice and rigid, they weren't flimsy, and took just the right amount of force to activate. They were once again like the sensor, very responsive and a pleasure to use. Here's a quick sound test of the left click and the right click. The scroll wheel has a nice rubber feel to it. However, I did feel the texture may wear out over time. I don't know if it will or not, I just got that impression. It did, however, have a nice distinct scroll between each tick and a very nice clicking sound. So here's a quick sound test of it scrolling and clicking. Similarly, the other buttons on the mouse were great quality. So you've got a DPI changing button which works as expected and can be reprogrammed to anything else in the Razer software. Then there's the two side buttons. They were fairly thin and they didn't stick out too much from the side of the mouse. This I liked, they were still easy to find and they didn't take too much force or anything to press. They were a great pleasure to use and they did their job as you'd expect. Here's a quick sound test of the front button and the back button. The lighting on this mouse wasn't exactly exceptional. There's only a single RGB zone which, while it's been standard for a while, is a bit behind some of the 3 RGB zone mice you get nowadays, which you can create cool effects. The lighting, it was vibrant, the RGBs were good looking, however the underglow was a bit too low in my opinion. It didn't really reflect up, you couldn't see it a lot of time, especially during the day. Everything is controlled through the Razer Synapse software, which was nice because it easily installed when you plugged in the mouse, you didn't have to go download anything. It's very simple and allows a lot of customization. You can reprogram all the buttons to absolutely anything you want, and by that I mean anything from a standard key to a macro or even opening a program. The lighting could all be controlled in Chroma Studio, which did have a lot of customization and a lot of different options for the RGB lighting. However, the single zone meant none of them felt too different because it's just different ways you can change a single colour. For $40, the Razer Viper Mini is a great budget gaming mouse. 61 grams is a huge reason to buy this mouse, and I really like it because of that. The rest of the performance was pretty good. Obviously the lift off distance I would have liked to have been a bit lower, but the primary mouse clicks, the sensor in general and the side buttons were great to use. You just got to consider whether this mouse is right for you based on the fact it is very small and the grip size you have. So if you're a palm user, I wouldn't get this mouse. Like I said before, claw grip if you don't have really large hands, then yes, and fingertip, then yeah, I'd get this mouse. So guys, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, leave a like. If not, or you just have a question, leave a comment telling me what I can do better. You can subscribe for more content and follow us on social media on Twitter and Instagram. I'll see you guys next time.